Hello, all, and welcome to our interview series, hosted as part of the Wsis Forum 2021, where we'll introduce some of the leading innovative projects and activities collected through our Coronavirus Response ICT Case Repository. Today, I have the honor of being joined with Andrew Benson Green from the Be Gifted Foundation of Sierra Leone, here to discuss their initiative, Digital Hope. So, Mr. Green, I would like to start off by asking how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted your work and the work of your community.
Thank you so much for having me at the Wsis Forum and to share my viewpoints on how the coronavirus has affected my work. As you may know, the coronavirus has affected the global community in various ways, even though in varying degrees, but it has also significantly impacted the work that I have done on a local level in Sierra Leone. Considering the fact that it is a country which has come through so much challenges, post-war effects, the Ebola outbreak, economic challenges, and now the COVID-19 has exacerbated the problems. I believe that technology becomes a greater equalizer, the vantage tool to heal the soul of a nation and to create opportunities for a more hopeful future, especially where technology becomes the middle path where all of us can walk through in spite of the physical indifferences or circumstances we face. But the infrastructure is still lacking in Sierra Leone, and for us to carry out our project, especially at this particular time, it's doubly difficult. Even though it's lacking, there is a great potential for growth. However, to harness the potentials of a purely resilient population is not to have the country to go through another test of courage, but in fact, it helps us to drive innovation at a local level that can empower people in different circumstances, improving agriculture, education, and economic development. But at this point, because of the lack of access to technologies and the fact that we cannot congregate and commute as we used to do in the past, the coronavirus has significantly impacted my project.
Indeed, the coronavirus has had a profound global effect. I think we've seen that throughout the world. And you mentioned some of the challenges that people in Sierra Leone have to face, but could you describe in more depth some specific challenges that your project had to face and how you were able to manage them?
There has been considerable feeling of isolation, especially for the people we serve who have gone through this crisis and previous um, epidemics and also war challenges. Additionally, there has been problems based on the COVID-19, which has clearly prevented a lot of social interactions, especially that the amputees can no longer come together in a desirable way based on the fact that they're really in pain and they're being agonized. Additionally, our volunteers cannot make the level of physical connections to go into places where they should administer some of the projects that we need them to administer. Another effect of the coronavirus is the problems that it creates to raise resources which are outside the scope of COVID-19. Most projects fall within the brackets of COVID-19, which means we have to significantly look at projects that we could tweak in order for this to happen.
Indeed, and thank you for your words. Could you now tell the audience the name of your project and provide a brief description of what it is exactly that you do?
So my organization is called Be Gifted Foundation, which uses creativity and technology as tools to address human rights, enhance peace and development. The Digital Hope Project, which is associated with our organization, creates an inclusive information society where we ensure that people who are marginalized from the mainstream of technology can have easier access to connect and to be part of the information society. Our project also goes above and beyond to provide a voice to people who otherwise will not have the voice to articulate their viewpoints. And technology is the platform that we use to connect this previously marginalized group of people who have been affected by conflicts to reach to the global community through technology. Our project also enhances the power of digital training, which provides another advantage of economic growth.
Thank you. It's great to see that people are really harnessing the power of ICTs for good. And could you now provide insight as to when and why Digital Hope was founded, now that we know a bit more about what it is that Digital Hope does?
Thank you very much. In fact, Digital Hope was born in 2010 as a result of some other projects the Be Gifted Foundation was carrying out in local communities in Sierra Leone, especially within amputee camps. Um, we worked with different areas of interventions. First of all, we did the support to survivors of amputation, which was meant to create opportunities for healing and reconciliation amongst this category of war victims. And then we realized that um, there is a need for us to reach to the global community away from not just the confines of Sierra Leone. And the only way we can really transcend this particular problem was to use technology as a vehicle. So Digital Hope was born as an idea to connect these categories of beneficiaries to the larger community to provide an opportunity to share their stories to the rest of the world and in the process give them hope. Um, but the program really gained traction when it was selected by one of the competitions hosted by the UNIT in Geneva, where I was able to pitch the idea, which was well received and provided the initial spark of support of grants to help create the pilot initiative. At the end of the day, we decided to move beyond that as a way to scale. And then with the Ebola crisis and then the COVID-19, that stalled our efforts.
Thank you. Could you now synthesize really Digital Hope's mission and then further elaborate on the specific technologies and ICTs that are being used to support it?
So Digital Hope initially assembled a couple of workstations as a pilot phase within communities. We've used mobile phones to ensure that victims of amputation can reach health communities in a prompt way, even before COVID-19. And during COVID-19, we've been able to track down the use of mobile phones to get into touch with, hospitals and other services of health. We actually have a target of about 20,000 victims of amputation and war wounded. And so far, the project has been able to use technology to reach 1,500 people, even though we still have a long way to go. But we believe that the level of interest shown by the fact that the project has opened the eyes of local communities to the effect of using technology for the greater good. And then, of course, it has been recognized by both the UNITU and the Pan-African Awards for Entrepreneurship in Education.
Thank you. We're really happy to hear about the inspiring work that you're doing. And Mr. Green, for our last question, could you just tell the audience a little bit about your background, personally and professionally?
Thank you. I was born and raised in Sierra Leone, and where I worked for many years after my undergraduate years at the University of Sierra Leone to help young people affected by conflicts to use technology for the greater good. I recalled what Larry Majid said during an interview at the BBC studios in London, that my efforts were creating what they call the dot hope effect. My contributions have expanded beyond the confines of Sierra Leone to enhance the potentials of my project at the First World Summit on Information Society in Geneva. I've also created numerous ICT-based projects, inspired ICT for peace programs in schools, helped to set up peace clubs as well as technology clubs, connected schools on a local level with a global community. Have helped to provide access to technology in Sierra Leone to many communities. So ICTs have become quite a tool that I've used in many of my projects. At the moment, I am currently a student at the Maryland University School of Law, where I'm pursuing intellectual property law as a way to look at public policies regarding people's creative ideas and innovations.
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Green. Hearing about your work with the Be Gifted Foundation of Sierra Leone is truly inspiring. And for those of you who followed this interview through our Wsis Process Facebook Live, we appreciate your presence too. If you are interested in today's interview and wish to receive more information, you can access our report, Coronavirus Response ICT Case Repository, on the Wsis Stocktaking platform. And if you wish to connect and learn more about the process, feel free to contact wsis-info@itu.int or visit our various social media channels. If you too have a story to share, we invite you to submit your ICT-related project to the Wsis Stocktaking platform in our section dedicated specifically to the ICTs and coronavirus response. Once more, we thank you for joining us today, Mr. Green, and we look forward to seeing the rest of our audience in our next interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us.